Thank you very much, Danielle, and welcome everybody. Thank you all for joining us on this great call. And the topic here is from 0 to 100 units, a formula for franchise growth. And little bit about my story. You know, I started this in my parents' dining room in 2008 with a laptop and a vision. I like to call that vision our guarantee. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. We will be the largest fitness brand in the world. And, back then I used to say 15, 20 years. Now I'm going to say about 10 years because we're already on our way. But we've literally been able to do what no one's ever been able to do before. We have created a new category that never existed, okay? There's no brick and mortar. We bring the workout to you. We service over 1,350 cities throughout the US, Canada, and the United Kingdom, over 500 plus team members and growing rapidly. We're on pace to open another 75 to 100 locations this year. This year is going to be an incredible year of growth for us. But prior to starting this, remember, this is in 2008. So this is before the pandemic. People told me I was crazy. This is a horrible idea. People should go to the gym. Look, if you try to think back in the day, think about how much opportunity you had to get something healthy. Like, just think about that for a second. Like, where can you go to get something healthy? Most people are going to McDonald's, going to, a fast food joint. There was nothing. Now there's healthy salad places and, juice bars and so on and so forth. And that's continuing to grow. So health is going to continue to scale. The problem is people are naturally procrastinators. They're not going to turn on the app. Those Pelotons and treadmills become the most amazing clothing racks. And I love when I saw Lululemon bought the mirror. I love that one. I saw it happen and I literally said out loud, this is not going to last. And look what happened. They sold the company because it's not going to work. It's not going to work. To get real results, you need accountability. That's not going anywhere. We're not a fad. We're a lifestyle. And at the end of the day, artificial intelligence can't replace what we do. ChatGPT can't replace what we do. Robots can't replace what we do because human interaction, again, will never go anywhere. And I'm sure everyone on here has ordered off Amazon in the last 5 minutes, the last hour, the last week. Chances are you're a Prime member. If you're not, I pass out right now on the floor. But that's the world we live in, and that's not going to change. But, for me, prior to sitting in my parents' dining room, I didn't know what I wanted to do. People look at me as this motivational person, but at the end of the day, I was actually depressed, suffered from anxiety, was told to get a 9-to-5 job, and that's what I did. I was training, and I was very successful as a trainer, but being a trainer, I always say, is not scalable, right? It's like a doctor. A doctor without patients is unemployed, and a trainer without clients is unemployed. So I gave up literally making, a little over probably $200,000 a year in my early 20s as a trainer to take a $35,000 job in a marketing firm. And this was like what was really eye-opening for me. And I started looking into some of these statistics. Do you know that 85% of people drive to work every day committing spiritual suicide? They're miserable. They hate their job. Monday, horrible, right? Oh my God, it's Monday. Usually around 7 o'clock Sunday night, everyone develops that anxiety. Then it's like Wednesday. Today's Wednesday. Woo, it's the halfway point. And then Friday's here and everyone lives for a 2-day work week. Well, that's really horrible. And that's why I always say at the end of the day, you got to follow your passion. Passion is everything. When you follow your passion, you're going to have success. So being around all that negative energy, that's what kind of got me back into fitness. And that's what got me to, start this company. And I'll tell you, I always like to say the easy way never pays well. And, I still own 100% of this company. I've been through more pain than you could possibly imagine and more challenges than you possibly imagine. But at the end of the day, when you believe and your belief is strong enough and you have that commitment to not quit and never give up, no matter what, you never tap out, no matter what, it always works out. And from my parents' dining room, I got out of my parents' dining room. I'll never forget my wife, my girlfriend at the time, told me I was absolutely crazy to go into an office, which is probably about the size, the whole office is probably the size of my office now. And I was paying, I don't know, $800 a month. And then pretty much for the next 14 years, I just stared at basement walls. And now I own this 18,000 square foot building with windows. It took 15 years to get windows. But, anything is possible as long as you put the work in. You got to put the work in. So at the end of the day, I'm coming on here to kind of, share the story and kind of let you know at the end of the day what it really takes. And, I always say this: success isn't given, it's earned. And you got to put that work in, and you have to obviously be consistent, and you have to never, ever quit. And, I like to say anything is possible, and you can always make the impossible possible. And one story that I like to share with you, because people are blown away by this story, is I don't know if you guys can see the tire on my wall, but I'm very into shipping people tires. I actually love shipping people tires. Now, This tire is a different one. It's actually a regular tire. I like to ship 18-wheeler truck tires. Now, I don't like to really give out my secrets, but I'm going to give it out because I know no one on this call is going to do this because it's just too much work involved. But if you do, I would highly recommend it. It's a great idea. So I'm giving you some of my goods, but pretty much I like to ship out 18-wheeler tires. And the message I put on the tire is my drive and intensity will leave tread marks all over your floor. We need to connect. Tires have gotten me into the most powerful, pretty much the most powerful people's doors you could imagine in the world. And one person who I love that I'm very obsessed with is Phil Knight, the founder of Nike. And if you're into business, I would implore you to read the book Shoe Dog. It's the greatest business story you'll ever read in your life. And one day I was telling my team that I am going to meet Phil Knight. And everyone's like, come on, what do you mean you're gonna meet Phil Knight? I'm gonna meet Phil Knight. So I got a box. The box is big enough. I could probably fit Michael, Diane, Maria, Alex, and Steve. You could probably hop in the box too, okay? The book again is Shoe Dog by Nike. But the box was so big, and in that box I had the tire, a heartfelt letter, a 2030 of canvas of Phil Knight in his younger years, and the tire, right? The Firestone. Nike stated if you were lucky, you would get that package back within 6 months to a year. But due to the amount of packages Mr. Knight gets, you're most likely not going to get anything back. And they also made it very clear, if you do not put a prepaid package in the package, they will not ship it back. Now, I didn't want the tire. The tire was to send a statement. Anyway, the box goes out. 7 days later, my door opens up with that giant box again, addressed to me from Phil Knight. So with the anticipation of a 4-year-old child, I run to the box, open up the box. What's in the box? In the box was the signed tire, the signed canvas, the signed book, and I was like blown away. I was like, wow. I was like, I'm like Superman. I could do anything. I'm just unstoppable. So now here's where the miracle stops, right? Most people at that point would not proceed to get to the next level. So I consistently made 62 phone calls. On the 62nd phone call, I got in touch with Lisa McKillips, Phil Knight's handler for over 35 years. And we were set to have dinner, literally have dinner with Phil Knight in March of 2020. COVID hit. So that couldn't happen, right? So for the last 3 years, I've been building that relationship. And now at the end of July, I'm actually having dinner with Phil Knight. And I share that story because I want to talk about some of the struggles along the way, but I want to let you know that anything is possible and you could do anything. You could do anything if you put your mind to it. Now, the biggest issue that I suffered with along the way was cash flow, right? Cash flow. Now, I actually, some of my team members call me the wizard. I have a gold calculator here, which is like an inside joke because people don't understand how I come up with this gold and I make these things happen over the years. Thank God we don't suffer with these problems anymore, but knock on wood, I got a double knock on wood because, man, again, I said there's a price to pay, right? There's a price to pay. But one night, literally, I'll never forget, I was set for payroll on Monday. I had to come up with $20,000 and I didn't have 20 grand. I was thinking of everything I could possibly do. And I said, you know what? This is really crazy, but I live in New York. I'm going to ride out to New Jersey and I'm going to go out to Atlantic City where the casinos are. I have about $5,000 left in my savings. I could play red, obviously red's our color, right? So we got to represent red. I'm going to play my color. I could hit it a couple times. If I hit it, I'll make payroll. Everything will be done, right? So I drive out there Friday night, 3 hours. I get there and I'm sitting there and I'm pretending and I'm like, okay, let's pretend I go in now. It hit red. I'm like, oh my God, I would have won. All right, I'm going to do it now. Let's do one more time. It hit red again. And I sat there and I'm like, I just can't do this. I can't do this. It's just a really bad idea. There's got to be another way. I was speaking to one of my mentors at the time, and he told me I'm absolutely out of my mind. He's like, do not do that. Figure out another solution. Now, the weekend's here, right? The bank on Saturday closed at 1 o'clock. I came up with an idea, and I gave out over 100 free sessions to my clients who renewed packages. I could not take credit cards because I needed the money in my bank by Monday. So I literally drove around all morning picking up checks, and I only needed 20 grand. I ended up raising $46,000 in a couple hours and made my payroll. So another proof in the pudding. There's always a way to make it work. Some other challenges along the way. When I started GYMGUYZ with a Z, I knew that people were going to go to the website GYMGUYZ with an S. So I knew I needed to buy that domain because until the brand becomes worldwide and recognized, I have to get that domain. Well, there was this guy, Al Helen, in Denver, Colorado, who I still talk to this day. He owned GYMGUYZ.com. He was selling it for $48,000. I didn't even have 48 cents. So I kept calling him and trying to buy the website. I wouldn't stop. Then he started getting to the point where he's like, this is getting out of control. If you keep this up, I'm going to call the police. You need to stop calling me. I'm not giving you the website. If you want it, it's 48 grand. So I did some research on his domain. I got his address. I bought a one-way ticket to Colorado. I flew out there to his house to talk to him. Okay. I like to say the action takers are the money makers. If you don't take action, you're never going anywhere. So anyway, I go to his house. He's not there. I'm like, all right, maybe they're out. I'll come back later. I go back later. He's not there. And he was, he wasn't really in like the Denver. He was like kind of more in like a rural area, but there was a house down the ways that you could see within squinting distance. I was like, maybe they know Al. I'll go down there. They said, oh yeah, we know Al. Al's away this week with his family. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I was like, when does he come back? It's like, he comes back next week. So obviously I couldn't stay there for a week waiting. So I wrote him a note, left a note with them, left him a message. As soon as he comes home, he tells me he's calling the police. This has got out of control. This is harassment on a whole nother level. And I'm actually getting a little scared now. I just said, Al, listen, I am not doing anything to you. I'm harmless. I need that website. I'm going to build the largest fitness brand in the world. Do you not feel my passion? Like my passion's dripping through your phone right now. I need the website. You're not even really using this website. Can you just give it to me? That was on 71 attempts, took 71 transactions back and forth. He gave me the website for free. And I actually have the ticket framed on my shelf right there. So what is the key to success here? It's just you never stop. There's no secret. There's no key to it. You just never stop. You have to be consistent. And I always like to say, when I talk to, potential new franchise partners, I ask them if they brush their teeth twice a day. And everyone always smiles and say, oh, yeah, yeah. I said, oh, really? I said, that's great. So I say, well, tell me a little bit more so I can understand. Like, what happens if you stop brushing your teeth for the next 8 weeks? Oh, your teeth are going to rot. You're going to have serious problems. Of course, same rules apply in your life and in business. Now, before I open up for some questions, I want to tell you one more thing, because this is going to change everybody's life right this instant. If you listen to me, the number one most important thing is movement and taking care of yourself. And people always ask me, how are you so confident? How do you become so confident? And the answer is, I want you to all later to get naked and stand in front of a mirror, and I want you to look at yourself. And I want you to honestly ask yourself, how do you feel about the way you look? And if you're not happy, that's up to you to change. But if you start changing your habits and you start exercising, and I'm not talking about going for a walk. I'm talking like going for a walk with some sprints, doing things that are hard. Suffering is the most important thing, and you should be leaning into it daily. I suffer every single day with my workouts. I do things that no one would ever be able to do. And I've trained myself over the years to do that. But that's because I'm unstoppable and I'm the greatest in the world. And you might say, wow, this guy is really out of control and he's really conceited. No, I'm not conceited. This is what I believe. And you should believe the same thing. I am confident and I believe in my abilities and myself. And I believe that no one's better than me. And when you do that and when you train yourself, because your mindset is the most important thing you have. And when it comes down to business and life, it's about 90% mindset. It really is. And when you put yourself through suffering on a daily basis, I laugh when someone serves me with a lawsuit. I laugh when the problem happens. It doesn't faze me. I got one of my team members headed to the Javits Center with the van this morning. This happened this morning to drop off the van for the show for the next couple of days, and someone smashed into the bumper. And I just laughed at it. And he's like, why are you laughing? I said, because this too shall pass. I said, is it that bad? I was like, we'll get it fixed. And he's like, okay. He's like, wow, okay. I didn't think that, you'd react like that. This too shall pass. That applies to success and that applies to failure. But I will tell you one thing. If you do not put yourself through difficult situations, you're never going to move the needle and get to that point of being the greatest. And that's really what it comes down to. But I'd like to open up for some questions. I figured I'd leave 15 minutes for some questions. So ask away.
Well, I'll kick it off. So, I definitely agree that mentality, and I think that, a tenacity really for success is huge. So then I guess my question is, from a standpoint of trying to grow, what tactics or specific tools or, implementations from a marketing approach have you guys applied to really find that level of success outside of, the drive and the motivation.
So, look, the personal branding that I've done has been very powerful, right? Because what happens is at the end of the day, you know, social media is your resume. Okay. It's how people look at you. And I'm actually extremely introverted. You might not believe that, but I really am. I don't have any friends. I have one good friend. That's it. I don't hang out. I've never been drunk. I don't smoke. Never smoked marijuana. I am like as clean as a whistle. All I do is drink water and get my workout on. That's what I'm all about. And I love to play ice hockey too, but I do love my brownies as well. I love brownies, by the way. That's a great story that I'll share in a second, because that's also to answer this question. But you got to put yourself out there. It's very important. If you're not, you're losing opportunity. People are going to look at you, people are going to see you, and people are going to research you. I've been on some of the greatest podcasts in the world that have millions and millions of views. I run a podcast myself. My top episodes got over like 300,000 downloads. All of this has helped me sell many franchises. My friend Gary Vaynerchuk, I don't know if you know Gary V, but I was on his podcast. I sold 7 franchises from that. I'm still getting hits from that today. But putting yourself out there is very important. And you might be uncomfortable. It doesn't matter. You got to lean into that discomfort and you just do it. And it's very easy to do it at the end of the day too, because you have your phone. You take your phone, you make a video. Hey, how you doing? My name is so-and-so. And today we just sold 2 of our franchises and we want to welcome our new franchise owners, and post it. Something as simple as that. But you build credibility. And you got to understand something. When people are looking into franchises, buying a business, they're going to do a lot of research. And when I speak to a lot of my franchise owners, they always say they just buy into me. They've never met anyone more fired up. They believe in everything with the vision and what we're doing. And that gives them confidence. So that's very important, but you also have to be creative. So I talked about brownies. My first franchise I sold on a vacation in Cabo. I literally just got approved for franchising. I went on a vacation. It was the first vacation I went with my wife before we had our first son. And I love brownies, gooey, fudgy brownies. And I had a plate about like 20 of them. And I'm walking back to my table to sit down. And this guy comes up to me and we just start talking. He's like, what are you doing with all those brownies? And we started having a conversation. What do you do for a living? Long story short, he's like, my son would love this. Start FaceTiming with his son. I'm literally calling my franchise attorney at 1 a.m. and he knows I'm nuts. So he's like, Josh, what's going on? I was like, I need to know what to do. I got this candidate. I think they're really serious. 2 weeks later, I closed my first franchise. Now that's where most people stop. That's a great story. You got to be a great storyteller. I'm a great storyteller. I called up Entrepreneur Magazine. I told them this incredible story. I got a free full-page story on the whole thing. And then I sold my next 3 franchises from it. And it started taking off like crazy. But you got to create omnipresence. You got to be out there. You got to be present. You got to be in people's faces. You go big or you go home, right? The small little quiet cat doesn't mess with the lion. It doesn't work. So you got to think like that. It's very, very important. I saw some questions come in. We're a little over right now. We're just touching on 200 locations. By the end of this year, we should be around probably like 250 to 260. What's the hardest hurdle? Listen, there's challenges every single day. That never goes away, right? You know the song More Money, More Problems? Yeah, that's legit. I want all the problems. I want them all. I'm the ultimate problem solver, and you have to be the ultimate problem solver. But how do you develop that type of resiliency? By putting yourself through suffering things on a daily basis. Weak people go nowhere. Strong people are what rule the world. And you have to develop that strength too here, because that's how you win. What else we got here? How many franchises do you have? What's the number of franchises? Yeah. Sorry, I answered all that. What else we got, guys? Come on, any more questions? This has been like the quietest group I've ever spoken to.
So what do you do if you hit the wall? So you were talking about how you exercise and all that other stuff. So, and you have to be, I guess I wrote it down, but dedicated and constantly keep moving. But what happens if your mindset doesn't allow you to move forward? How do you reframe that soundtrack, if you will?
What you're doing is you're allowing your emotions to be stronger than your mind. And you never let that. You don't negotiate with your mind. You need to talk differently to yourself. People don't understand something. The words you speak are powerful. What do you tell yourself every day? When you wake up, what do you tell yourself every day? You know, it's funny. I was having this conversation with a buddy the other day. I was like, we were talking about giving someone $10 million. Like, how excited would you be if I told you I'm going to give you $10 million tomorrow? Everyone's going to be fired up, but you're not going to wake up tomorrow. No one's going to take the money. You have to speak differently to yourself. And that's very, very important. The words you speak matter. You get up every day, no matter what. I'm number one. I'm amazing. I'm going to have an incredible day. It's true. And like sometimes if you focus on other situations that you see in the past, like I'll just throw out a good one. Like, remember when Tiger Woods was going through all those problems? Remember, he was on every front page of every paper, and then he won the Masters, and he's the greatest thing in the world again. Everything has cycles, has seasons. Winning has seasons. Losing has seasons. Things are going to come and things are going to go, but you have to constantly just be on top of yourself. And look, I didn't want to even work out this morning. I was so tired. I thought I was going to die. And I get up every morning at 3:29 every single day. I'm a sniper's best friend. They will get me at the same step every day, no matter what. It doesn't matter if I get no sleep. I will still get up at the same time and do that. But you have to force yourself to do those things. And imagine how great I felt when I was done. I felt incredible. But you got to talk differently to your mind. And I give you one little tactic that I use. I use my family, right? My children. I love my children. And I play psychological games in my head because you have to be able to do that in order to get through challenging moments. So if you're tired in the morning, I just say, well, if I don't get up, something's going to happen to my family. And I get up right away. That's it. So if you allow yourself to play tricks in your mind and you develop that strength within your mindset, you won't listen to your emotions. Your emotions can't talk, right? You know, your feelings can't be stronger than your mind.
Epic. Thank you so much. I feel like I need to go like run 6 miles and feeling very juiced up at the moment. So thank you very much for your insight. And hey, if I show up on your front doorstep begging you to, work with Promo Republic, you know where I got the idea from. So I'll see you soon.
Hey, Danielle, can I ask one more question?
Yeah, of course, please.
Josh, tell me more about your team.
Sure. So I'm very good friends with Brian. So this was when I met Brian early in the days. That Shine is with Brian, right? You're one of the concepts with O2E?
No.
Oh, different. Okay, wrong one. Sorry, but listen, culture is very important, right? Culture is very, very important. Culture is what's going to win. And I always say, a good leader always creates other good leaders. And I actually cringe when people say I'm the boss. I don't use that word. I hate that word. I don't even refer to people as employees. We have team members and we have fearless leaders. You will catch me cleaning urine off a toilet seat. You will literally catch me on a phone call picking up garbage outside my building. Why? Because that's what I'm about. I want the presentation to be the best as possible. So when it comes to teamwork always makes the dream work, and you got to surround yourself with the right people, but you also have to know where your strengths are and where your weaknesses are. I think it's really foolish when people spend time and energy on focusing on their weaknesses. I know where I'm strong at, and that's where I stay. I stay in my lane, and everything else is delegated to other people. And that's how you obviously develop a good team and build off that. And I have an incredible team. And it's funny. So I've been mentored by some of the best in franchising. And before he passed, Fred DeLuca used to mentor me. What a great guy. And I'll never forget something he told me. It was in 2014 at the New Orleans Convention Center at the IFA. Now, this is coming from a billionaire. And I was like, this guy has no idea what he's talking about. This is what I said to myself at the time. He's like, listen, I want you to go back after this show and I want you to look at every single person on your team. You'll be very lucky in 5 years if one's still there. And I'm like thinking like people, I'm like, no way, this one will never leave. No way. First of all, everyone's replaceable. Second, when a rocket takes off, at a certain altitude, the bumpers fall off because not everyone's meant to be in your life forever. Certain people can't take you to one point to the next point and so on and so forth. Just like you don't want negative people in your environment because one negative person will ruin everything. It's positivity all day, every day. And that's what I live on and breathe on. And I created this concept called Fuel Your Drive. It's the name of the podcast. It's the name of my book. We have a gas tank that sits in our lobby, and the word drive, because obviously you can't drive anywhere without fuel, is on our walls, and we recite it in every meeting. Drive stands for determination, respect, integrity, versatility, and excellence. Those are our core values, and fuel is what is really the pillars of success. You cannot run a business without fun, unity, earnings, and leadership. And that's how we run the business every single day. And that's how I align with my team members.
Thanks, Josh.
You got it, pal. Any other questions?
Can you say what DRIVE stood for again, please?
Determination, respect, integrity, versatility, and excellence. And everyone has to embody those values. Like you can get someone who comes from Google or Starbucks, and they can have the most amazing resume in the world, and you could be mind blown. But if they don't fit the values, it doesn't work. And you have to stick to those values. Same rules apply with our franchise owners.